Hey everybody, welcome to Crosswind Church Podcast. We hope this message inspires you to take your next step in your faith journey.
Well, happy Be Rich, everybody. It's exciting, and if you are a guest with us or if you haven't been around for the last 12 months or so, I totally expect you to have no clue what we're talking about, but that's okay. It's Be Rich season. It is literally my most favorite time of the year. I mean, it's a great time of year. Anyway, it's fall, so it's a little cooler in the air. College football is in full swing, which is something that's also exciting. It's November, so that means the turkey and dressing sub at Sammy's is back. I'm fired up about that, and it's Be Rich season all in one. So it's like the best time of the year to be here. And this year for Be Rich, I think we have a very unique opportunity if we will allow that opportunity to play itself out over the next few weeks to really show our community what it looks like to follow Jesus in every aspect of our lives. Let me tell you what I mean by that and why I've kind of arrived at that. When I was growing up in church, I became a church member as a young child when I was baptized, and I got a box that came to me at my house shortly after that was sent to me by my church, a box of offering envelopes, right? Maybe some of you all remember those. The ones that I got looked like this. I have a picture here. This is not from my home church, but they looked like this. Leave this up there for just a minute. They had a number on it. My membership number was on there, and mine actually had my name printed on it as well. And I could give my offerings and tithes and everything like that on Sunday morning by putting it in these offering envelopes. But what I wanted to point out to you on this offering envelope and on the ones that I had growing up were those check boxes over on the left-hand side. Those check boxes were super important. No one really ever explained to me as a kid, but you can see it says present, Bible brought, Bible read daily, lessons studied, giving, worship attendance, that sort of thing. And what it allowed you to do is not only to give your money in the offering or your tithes, but to check off the spiritual disciplines that you were kind of involved in the week. So like if you read your Bible every day, you would check that, right? Or if you were like me, you would lie about that. I feel like that's probably something really bad to lie about to church. But anyway, regardless of that, I was a kid. Present, hey, I'm here, right? I attended worship, and you would check those things off. And what happened in my life growing up is that I kind of came to understand following Jesus, a relationship with Jesus, to kind of be whittled down to just some check boxes, just some things that you wanted to make sure that you did. So you show up on Sunday morning, check, right? I go to Sunday school, check, right? I put some money in the offering plate when it came by, check. And as long as you kind of do those things, then you're pursuing Christ the right way, and you and God are going to kind of be okay. Maybe your experience with church has kind of been similar to that. Maybe you were taught growing up that hey, all of the right answers to all of the questions are, Jesus. You can just say Jesus is a good answer, or like go to church, read your Bible, pray. Right? Those are the Sunday school answers that you memorized. And when you're in Sunday school, any question that they ask, you could just kind of go, well, I just kind of check that off. Maybe for you, what it looked like was you got out of church for a little while. Maybe COVID or whatever kind of moved you away from the church, and you knew that things weren't quite right between you and God. You didn't know necessarily how to make it right, but something inside of you is like, I should just check off some more boxes. And so you say things like this. You say things like, I need to get back in church, right? Which what you're saying is I need to show up in a row and check the box, right? Or I need to get back involved with a home group. I need to get into a circle and check the box. Or you know what? God's blessed me just a little bit, so I'm going to tip him a little bit when the offering plate goes by, or in the boxes in the back, or whatever, or bribe him along the way, right? This is what your faith has been whittled down to. For some of you, you've grown frustrated because you look at other folks in other churches and maybe even folks in your own church, and you're frustrated because, well, to be honest with you, all they're doing is checking off the boxes. They're not really living their life the way that that you feel like they ought to, and something just seems to be missing. And for so many folks, and maybe it's you look at other Christians, or you look at people that claim to be followers of Jesus Christ because you're not a follower of Jesus, and you look at it and go, man, is that all there is to it? Showing up at a country club like church on Sunday and being seen by all the right people and checking off all the right boxes, is that kind of what following Jesus is kind of whittled down to? And so as we begin Be Rich season, I want to go back 700 years before Jesus was born. And the nation of Israel was kind of at a crossroads. They were experiencing some difficulties already. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom had been divided, so it was a divided kingdom. And the Syrian Empire was kind of putting the clamps on the northern kingdom in particular. And in that particular time, God was raising up prophets that were going to the nation of Israel and telling them what it was that was going wrong. And one of those prophets was a man by the name of Micah. And Micah is prophesying to the northern kingdom of Israel about 700 years or so before Jesus was born. And he creates this kind of courtroom type scene in Micah chapter 6 where he lays out a number of things that the nation of Israel is doing in opposition to God. And in response to that, the nation of Israel responds probably, to be honest with you, in the way that you or I might respond as well. Look what they say in Micah chapter 6, verse 6. It says, "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of olive oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sins of my soul?" It sounds kind of even noble, doesn't it? The nation of Israel going, God, what is it that we can offer you, right? Do you want more sacrifices? Do you want us to pour out thousands of rams? Do you want us to sacrifice, all that we have? Do you want us to even take our children and offer them as a sacrifice to you? But I read it in such a way that I think the nation of Israel is kind of getting a little snarky with God, right? Like, what more do you want, God? Don't you see us checking the boxes? Don't you see us doing the things that we're supposed to do? As I read that, I think about how I've been married for over 20 years, and I'm just now starting to figure this out. So if you're married, newly married, I'm going to give you some good marriage advice today. If you're single, looking to be married one day, let me go ahead and just learn this now, because it's 20 years into my marriage, and I'm still just trying to figure it out. When your spouse comes to you, right, and says, I don't feel loved by you, she's not asking for a checklist of things that you've done to show her love. That's not it, right? I want to feel loved by you. And I go, well, but don't you see all the things that I'm doing? Look at X and look at Y and look at Z and exhibit 1 and exhibit 2 and exhibit 3. And that's not in the world what it is that your spouse is asking for, right? When I go to Jody and I say, Jody, I'm not feeling loved by you, she's not going to say, did you not like the meal I cooked for you last night? That's not what I'm looking for, right? And so when God comes and says, oh my people, right, you're falling away from me. And the nation of Israel comes back and goes, well, what more do you want from me, right? I'm doing all of these things. Don't you know what I'm doing? How many more sacrifices? How much more oil? What in the world am I going to have to do to please you? And then Micah steps in and he says this. He has shown you, O mortal, he's shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? In my silly Jeremy International version, all right, what he's saying here is, you've missed it this whole time. I've told you, right? I've told you what it is that you're supposed to be doing. You've had the law now for generations. It's been 300 years since King David was writing the Psalms, and you should know by now you've missed it. But just because you've missed it, I want to make sure that you understand just exactly what it is I'm requiring of you. He goes on in Micah chapter 6, verse 8. This is from the JIV. He says, show up to 3 worship services every week. Teach a Sunday school class. Listen to K-Love on the radio, but only on Sunday mornings. And drop some money in the offering plate when it passes by. That's not what he says. I totally made that up, right? That's not what he says. He goes, I don't want you to check the boxes. I don't want the Sunday school answers. I want something else from you. I want something different from you. You want to know what it means to follow me. Here's what I need you to do. First, he says, to act justly. To act justly. This idea of justice we take in our society, we like to add all sorts of adjectives to it, right? We talk about social justice or racial justice or political justice, but there is no adjective to biblical justice. It's just justice. It's fairness. It's looking at right and wrong and making the wrongs right. It is justice, to love justice. It means to look at individuals that are marginalized and pushed to the side and take care of them. 700 years later, Jesus would come along and he would tell us the parable of the sheep and the goats, where God shows up at the end of time, then he separates the sheep from the goats, and he looks at one group, and he says, in chapter 25 of Matthew, verse 34, the king looks to those on his right, and he says, come, you are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since creation of the world, for I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. You want to know what it means to follow me? Love justice. Seek justice for all that are oppressed. He says, act justly and love mercy, and to love mercy. The little word for love here in the Hebrew is hesed. It's the closest thing in the Old Testament we have to the New Testament idea of agape. It is no strings attached love. It's looking at individuals and say, I know you can't give me anything in return. I know that you don't deserve it, but I'm going to give you love, and I'm going to show you mercy. I'm not going to give you what it is that you deserve. Instead, I'm going to give to you grace. And I'm going to love you and show mercy to you in the same way that my heavenly Father has loved me and shown mercy to me. So we're to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. I think this may be one of the most difficult ones on the list. Let me tell you why. All we have to do is look out into society and read the news or watch the news or just have a conversation around the water cooler, and you realize how different we are from other folks, how we disagree on so many things. How the world would choose to kind of divide us up into different groups, and there's different races, and there's different political parties that you follow, and there's different likes and dislikes, and there's so many different ways that we can be divided in our society. And to be honest with you, in the churches, we're no different. You may not know this, but we have an incredibly diverse church. At least it's been the most diverse church that I've ever been a part of. We have people with just about every political leaning that you can think of, and we have people that have come from different backgrounds and have different raisings and different ideas and different denominational backgrounds that they've come from, and all of those things. Like we have such a diverse congregation. And what walking in humility means is it means that rather than looking at you and sizing you up based on what label has been put on you by society, I'm willing to sit down, open my palms to you and say, you know what? I may be wrong. I want to hear what it is that you have to say. I want to listen to the reasons you believe and do the things that you do. And the reality is that that's what we want from other people, isn't it? We want other people to look at us and to listen to us and not look at us and size us up and write us off because of something that the world tells us that we should believe or don't believe, right? Come on. We want someone to sit down across from us, look us in the eye, and have a conversation. That's what it means to walk humbly. These three things, justice, mercy, and humility, we want those things from other people, don't we? We want people to, we believe, look, come on. Every decision you made and every decision you make makes perfect sense to you in the moment. Based on the things you've been through, based on the things you're going through, every decision you make makes perfect sense to you. And you're convinced that if someone could just hear your story, they'd understand why you're doing the things and why you believe the things that you do and believe. But the reality is that everyone has a story. Everyone has a history. And to walk humbly, to love justice, to love mercy, right? These are the things that the Lord requires of you. And be rich is an opportunity for us to show the world what it really looks like to follow Jesus. To show our community that following Jesus is more than just sermons and songs. Following Jesus is more than just checking boxes. Following Jesus is about a heart that's positioned to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And so Be Rich is about giving and serving and loving, hopefully doing the things that we have been doing all year long and jump-starting that and kicking that off into a brand new year here at Crosswind Church. Paul, who wrote about half of the New Testament, wrote a letter to his son in the faith named Timothy. And it's in this little letter that he wrote that we actually get our marching orders for Be Rich. He says to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good," and here's our phrase, "to be rich in good deeds, to be generous, and to be willing to share." He starts out by saying, command those who are rich in this present age. To which a lot of us, and we say this every year, a lot of us would go, well, that's not me, right? I'm not rich. He isn't talking to me. The reality is that if you drove here today to church in a car, you are wealthy considering the world's standards. In fact, most of you don't just have a car, you have 2 cars, or if you were to go to my house right now, 4 sitting in our driveway, because we got all kinds of drivers in my house now, right? I mean, that's absolutely crazy to think about. Not only that, but your car more than likely lives in a house that's connected to your house. And if you've ever been to a third world country, if you've ever been to Honduras on one of our mission trips, what you found is that the house your car lives in is nicer than the house that most of the people in the world live in. And you have so much stuff that a lot of times your stuff has to go live in your car's house, to the fact that your car doesn't get to live in its house anymore. Right? And not only that, we came across an article this last week, and it told us that one of the biggest industries that was booming during COVID, when all of the rest of the world was struggling financially, was the storage unit business. Right? That over 1 out of every 10, over 10% of Americans have a storage unit, because you have so much stuff you can't even keep it in your car's house anymore. It has to go somewhere else. The average American spends around $166 a month on storage unit for our extra stuff. Y'all, we are rich. We are wealthy. And so because we've been given a little bit of extra, we ought not just assume it's for us. We ought to be willing to be generous and willing to share. And so at Crosswind Church, what we decided a long time ago, right? We decided about 9 or 10 years ago now almost, is that we weren't going to go out and reinvent the wheel and create a bunch of ministries that we were going to house here at the church, because there were so many organizations out there that were already doing such great work. So we didn't need to create a food pantry here, because there's a half a dozen of them in our city already. We didn't need to create a clothes closet, because there's places where people can go to get clothes for super cheap or for free all over the place. We didn't need to build some sort of shelter or anything like that, because there were already those resources that were out there. And so what we wanted to do is figure out, how can we partner with some great organizations, both for-profit and nonprofit, in our community that are doing good work, and help them to go further, faster. And so we created a website called IamCrosswind.com that still exists, and we started partnering with some I Am Crosswind partners, organizations all over Northwest Tennessee that deal with hunger, that deal with substance abuse, that deal with homelessness, that deal with the foster care system, that deal with our senior adults, our elderly adults, with people that were marginalized, finding out who needed the help, how can we partner with them, and how can we help them go further, faster. And as we began partnering with these nonprofits, we thought, what would it look like if we partnered with other churches all over the country and all over the world in a program called Be Rich, where we jumpstart that giving, we jumpstart that serving, we jumpstart that loving, so that hopefully we can, for one time a year, give just a bunch of money away, a bunch of hours being served, and do all of that to hopefully propel us to do that all year long, so that we're not just checking boxes. It's not just about songs and sermons. It's about acting justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with our God. And so about 7 years ago now, this is our 8th year to do Be Rich, we started raising a bunch of money in November, and we started giving it all away. And up through the last 7 years, you at Crosswind Church, at this little bitty church in Northwest Tennessee, we've raised $187,457.65 that we've given away to nonprofits. No strings attached. Here you go. Do what you do. We volunteered for hundreds of hours of community service along the way. And we have raised, this is not an exaggeration, tons, not like, a whole bunch, like thousands of pounds of food we've raised that we've given away to the marginalized and the needy in our community. Through Be Rich, look at some of the things that we've done. Through Be Rich, we have packed bags. We have served meals. We have bought meals, cooked meals, packed food baskets, shopped for Christmas, organized warehouses, built fences, sorted clothes, handed out coffee and hot chocolate, written thank you notes, resurfaced gym floors, painted walls, remodeled rec rooms, changed out light fixtures, provided fun days for foster care kids and for marginalized kids that couldn't afford to go that. We set up a fun day at Discovery Park where we're sending up to 100 families to go and experience the Discovery Park. And then we created a backpack program along with a couple other churches here in town at Union City Schools that's now serving over 130 kids food every weekend. Let me tell you something. Do you know what the money that you've raised and the hours that you've put in have done for some of these organizations? For some of them, it's been the shot in the arm, the encouragement that they need to continue doing the good work. For some of them, it meant that they had resources to continue to pay for an intern or to help meet ends in their organization so they can continue to do what it is that they do. For some of you, what it is that you did was the difference between a kid being hungry and having some food to eat. That's what Be Rich is about. And so as we move into this season of Be Rich, we're going to ask you to give, to serve, and to love. Now, if you're new here, you're hearing this. Maybe for the first time you're watching online and you're going, okay, here's the pitch. Jeremy, we knew we were going to come to church, and at some point you were going to ask us to give money to the church, and that's what's happening right now. Let me tell you, listen, I'm not asking you to give money to Crosswind Church. I'm asking you to give money through Crosswind Church. And every dollar that you give, every penny that you give, until the end of November, we will give 100% of that away to organizations that I'm getting ready to tell you about here in the next month. We're not keeping any of it for overhead. We're not buying balloons with it. We're not buying T-shirts with it. None of that, okay? Up to the end of November, 100% of the resources that you give. And we're stopping at the end of November because in December, we'll go and give some checks to some people. And here's the secret. They don't know we're coming. So I'm going to tell you some of the organizations we're going to help, but you got to promise you're not going to tell anybody, okay? Keep it a secret. Because the reality is that we want to show up in December, in that first week of December, and hand them a check, and we want them to be surprised. Now, some of them, I know you're going to find out, some of them go to church here, some of them are going to know. That's fine, but they don't know everything. And so I'm going to tell you about some of the organizations that we're going to help over the next month. And this is after much prayer and consideration. We've landed on 4 organizations that we're going to help with. The first one that we're going to help with is the Psalm 4:8 Foundation. The Psalm 4:8 Foundation is an organization here in Northwest Tennessee that helps with parents that lose a child. Because when you lose a child, it's not anything that you're expecting to have to deal with. And so oftentimes there's funeral expenses, there's headstone expenses, there's things that these families who are grieving the loss of a child, who they had no ability to even prepare financially for the problems that are coming. And so what the Psalm 4:8 Foundation does is it steps in and it helps meet some of those financial needs. In addition to that, I was speaking with them in October, and I said, hey, what are some things that you'd like to do in addition to that? Are there any goals or dreams that you have? And they said, well, we try to meet with these families and provide some sort of counseling where we sit through and try to help walk them through. But there's some that we really would love to connect with some professional counselors, but the resources sometimes are just not there to make that happen. And so the money that we give to the Psalm 4:8 Foundation will go not only to meet the needs of funeral and headstone expenses, but also to offset the cost of some professional counseling services for some of these families as they go through the grief of losing a child. The second organization that we're going to partner with is Margaret's Place. Now, you've probably not heard of this organization because it is brand new. Margaret's Place was started by our friends over in Dresden that do Be the Village, which is an organization that helps with foster care placements and things like that throughout Northwest Tennessee. But Margaret's Place is an actual homeless shelter for homeless men and women to come where they can stay for a short period of time, get their feet up under them, get training for jobs, get placed in a job, get placed in more permanent housing where they can come and have an address, because sometimes that's difficult to get a job without an address, get a warm shower. And as we were talking with our friends over at Margaret's Place, I asked, what are some things that you all would have and how can we help you? And they said, one of the things we need is a shower that's handicapped accessible. If we have somebody that comes through in a wheelchair or a walker that they aren't able to get into and step over into the bathtub that we have here, we would love to put in a shower and another bathroom that's handicapped accessible. And they told us this is how much it's going to cost. It's totally within our realm to be able to do that here for Margaret's Place. And we're hoping to be able to help with that as they help the homeless population, which you may not even be aware there is one, but there's a rather large homeless population here in Northwest Tennessee. The third organization that we want to help is Charlie Kate's Closet. Now Charlie Kate was one of our Crosswind kids that we lost this last year. And many of you all know Charlie Kate and love Charlie Kate and her family. And they've created this nonprofit organization that is going to help outfit foster care families. When a foster child gets placed into the foster care system, often they don't have anything. They're coming with nothing in a lot of cases. And so this would provide, initially, the goal is to provide these bags that would have some clothing items in them, some underwear, some socks, some pajamas, some toiletries, so that they would not just go in empty-handed, but they would have something as they try to put back together a life that's being ripped apart by just whatever in the world is going on, and has put them into foster care. What they are needing most right now is some storage. There are people all over the community that are packing bags and getting these bags ready, but they don't have anywhere to store them at this point. And so the funding that you give will hopefully go to provide a place to store some of these bags so that when a child goes into foster care, they'll be able to get those resources pulled and get them to that foster family as quickly as we possibly can. And then the last one is one that we've never, none of these have we ever helped before, but this organization, I'm super excited, the Obion County Nursing Home and Rehab. Our senior adults, especially when they get placed into a nursing home, oftentimes get forgotten by just about everybody. And especially at our Obion County Nursing Home, they don't have a lot of the funding to do a lot of things that some of the private nursing homes are able to do. And so we reached out to them and said, hey, what would just make your residents, what would make their lives just a little bit better? And it was things that were just so incredibly simple to me. Some things to decorate their rooms with, right? Some prizes that we could get them so that when they play bingo, they win some things. And I said, what kind of prizes do you want? And they were like, well, the women love costume jewelry, and the guys love, sunglasses and ball caps, and they love candy. And I'm like, we can do that. Like, that's so easy. And they're like, well, and our rehab facility doesn't have a television in the rehab room, but we have things like a Wii so they can get moving around. Well, it'd be nice if we could have a TV. And I kind of snickered. I didn't tell them, but I was like, how big a TV you want? Like, we'll just get as big as we can, right? Let's just fill it all up. And so we'll be able to just love on these residents at the Obion County Nursing Home and Rehab Center out there west of town. In addition to these 4 organizations that I know that we'll be able to help, we have other organizations that we have kind of waiting in the wings, other projects and other organizations that we want to help when you give above and beyond, because you every single year. And last year was our biggest Be Rich when it came to giving ever, and I have no doubt that we're going to top it this year. And one of the reasons is because in a world where everything else is inflating, prices are going high, it's more expensive to put gas in your car, it's more expensive to go to the grocery store than it's ever been. Be Rich, in all of our time has doing it, has never, ever gone up in price. And you can be a part of Be Rich for a one-time low payment of $39.95. It's been this way for years, right? $39.95. Our goal is that every man, woman, and child in this building would give $39.95 to Be Rich. Now, here's the thing. Remember, I'm not asking you to give money to our church. We're asking you to give money through our church. Some of you can't give $39.95. You look at that and go, there's no way I can pull up $39.95. That's okay. Give what you can, right? Give what you can. There's some of you, however, in fact, probably most of us, that you can add a 0 to that. Or you can add 2 zeros to that. You go, you know what, I can give, I've been blessed, I can give so much more than $39.95. Whatever it is, if we average $39.95, we'll be able to do the projects that we've laid forth and even more. But our goal is this: whether you give $39.95 or you can't give that much or you can add zeros to it, we want 100% participation. We want you to be a part of it, because in December, we're going to celebrate how much God has done with what it is that you have given through our Be Rich season. We want 100% of you to participate, and then we promise to give 100% of it away. No strings attached. If we're willing to do that, then we will show our community that following Jesus is more than just checking boxes. That following Jesus is more than just sermons and songs. It's about acting justly. It's about loving mercy. It's about walking humbly with our God. It's about giving, serving, and loving because we have been given so incredibly much. Now, here is my favorite part of Be Rich. We get to end the service today in a much different way than we ever do. Over on my right and my left, you see tables with balloons. And those balloons mean something. Today, if you want to give to Be Rich, there's a number of ways you can do it. The red balloons are for your debit card or credit card. If you want to give with your debit or credit card, you can go there, and there will be people that will help you do that through our PushPay system here at the church. The green balloons are for checks and cash. You can go, and there's an envelope there. You can write your name on it, drop it in the bucket, and we'll collect all of those as well. You can also take your phone and scan that QR code, and it'll take you to the same place that it would take you over here at the computers, and you can give that way from your phone. Or you can go to our church app and give through our church app. The default fund for the next month is going to be Rich. So if you want to give to our general budget, that's totally fine. You're going to have to hit the scroll down button and go choose general budget, because default for us for this month is going to be Rich. So whether that's by giving through the QR code, going to the green balloon, going to the red balloon, going to our app, we want 100% of people to participate, and the goal is $39.95 for every man, woman, and child. So, are you ready to be rich? Here's how we end the service at Give every year. You ready? On your mark, get set, go be rich. Y'all have a great one.
Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via email at info@crosswindchurch.net and download our free app, I Am Crosswind, to keep up to date on all things Crosswind Church.